and welcome to Social Chat. I'm Michelle Stinson-Ross, and I am one of the regular hosts of this Twitter/multimedia discussion. And I am going to toss it to my fellow co-host, Andrea Kochikaru, to introduce our topic, our guest, and all the fun that's about to get started. Andrea?
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Kochikaru, known as the Smiling Marketress, one of the co-hosts, along with, we have Kevin online here tonight too, and then Alan might pop in. But tonight we're going to talk about e-commerce. A long, long time ago, I used to play around with e-commerce, and a few of us here are still playing in it. And I thought that since it is mid-year, this is right about the time that most of us are planning our e-com strategy for the holidays. I thought, why not bring on Douglas, who works with Sellpoints, to actually give us some tips and best practices on how to do that. So I'm going to let Douglas, you can introduce yourself and tell us what you do and what Sellpoints does.
Hi, well, thank you, Andrea. I appreciate the time, the invitation to be here, and look forward to having a nice discussion with you all. I'm with Sellpoints, and I'm an account executive here, and my job is to go out and meet new people and businesses in the community and across the country and world who need help acquiring traffic and converting that traffic and creating buyers and engaging shopping experiences. In a nutshell, Sellpoints is a digital marketing agency that got its start about 16 years ago at the intersection of where brands sell their wares through retailers online. So what that means is that we developed a relationship early on with the retailers and told them how we could help them sell more, sell better online, and they introduced us to their brand partners that sell all types of consumer electronics, consumer goods, and things of that nature. And they were introduced to us and now give us their product descriptions, collateral, photographs, rich media videos that we assemble into product pages and category pages, and then we syndicate them to over 250 different online retailers. So that's it in a nutshell.
Awesome. Okay. Go ahead.
And the magic to the mix here is that we are able to provide such an engaging shopping experience that it's actually increasing conversions by over 5%, and using the technology that we're providing, it's actually increasing per shopper's orders by over 8%. That may not sound like a lot, but when you consider the margins in the retail space, it's everything.
Right. I want to take a quick minute to say hi to Alan. Alan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, guys, I had to attend another lecture, so now I'm here.
So Alan is one of the, Michelle and Alan originally started this chat 5 years ago, so I just wanted to take a quick hello to Alan, and welcome.
Appreciate it.
No problem. So I want to get started, Douglas, if you want to. Let's talk about how does integrated e-commerce strategy actually increase sales for...
Well, for far too long, there's been a silo effect when it comes to digital marketing. There's the social, there's the SEO and the PPC, and the teams don't even talk to each other, let alone talking to the email marketing people or the offline people, God forbid, if you can even find out where they sit. And what it really takes is to thread through the organization these various strategies where the company and the teams work as one. A primary example that I discuss a lot with people, because my forte is in the SEO, paid media, and conversion rate optimization, is simply asking, how much does your PPC, your paid media team, talk to the SEO team, and have you optimized that? And a quick, case study or example I provide is, well, if you simply have your paid media managers pull out the highest converting long-tail keywords from their analytics and provide that to the SEO managers, they can start creating content around that proven converted long-tail keyword that will then show up eventually, if done correctly, and you can actually have double listings on page 1 of Google. And when you do that, you just have so much higher click-through rate, so much more authority, a better quality score, and a lower pay per lead. So these are the types of strategies that people need to start talking about. And frankly, it's sad, but even agencies have trouble wrapping their heads around this.
Hey, Michelle, can you take over question 2? I'll be right back.
Absolutely.
So yeah, quick disclaimer. This is live, so life happens. So I'm going to let Michelle take over. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if anyone else on the team has talked to anyone around some of these issues as well.
It's actually a common discussion. As Alan and I have been saying for quite some time, and Alan was really great at articulating this, in that all marketing is social. And we're getting to a point now where we don't even refer to social media marketing or search marketing or even digital marketing. Hello, folks, it's all marketing.
Right.
And rather, it's interesting that you asked this, because earlier in the day we had a regular social chat ping us on the hashtag and say, hey, so do you guys advocate having SEO and social in separate departments or same departments? I'm like, oh my gracious, it's all one. It's a marketing department.
It's the marketing department. I'm just working helping an agency right now where we've set up the content marketers, the editorial team, the PPC marketing, the SEO, it all sits together, and I've organized their analytics that brings it all together. Because there's no point in having little silos, especially in, if you're a one-person operation, you're used to doing it all. But when you have a team 4 or 5, 6 people, it's frequently you have one person's doing SEO, one person's doing PPC, one person's doing some social, then you have an editorial team who's writing it, and nobody talks? No, it's all part of the same thing. And what I'm trying to push for in large organizations, that also has to not just go with your online, your live digital marketing strategy. That has to also be tied into if you're doing print advertising, if you're doing TV or radio, you have to have that consistent message. And there isn't a segregation. It might be a slightly different skill set, but it's one organization. It's marketing of your brand, and it doesn't matter what channel you're using.
And it's marketing it now. That's what everyone has to do right now.
Yeah, and I think to Douglas's point, I mean, I think the other problem is that you even have companies who are quite adept at building e-commerce solutions. I mean, they understand the build process and so forth like that. But because they don't understand the nuances that are required for the search engine optimization or the social media, part of that, what they're doing is they're building a technical piece without part of the information. So, like I'm working with a huge e-commerce company right now, and they were shocked at some of the things that I was telling them that they shouldn't be doing or that they should be doing. And they're like, well, when did that change? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, 3 years ago. And it's because, let's be honest, people have different skill sets, as Alan alluded to, and they also have a full-time job keeping up with that skill set. But what they do need to be is sitting in proximity and working directly with the people that have the other skill sets and be open to learning and adopting to what they needed. And, I'm sure Douglas could go on about the conversion rate optimization part of that too. Is just because you understand search engine optimization, I was loving what he was saying about taking the long tail terms that are converting for the products that you actually make money on. Hey, how about we go after that? And you have to have somebody that understands the business side to kind of make a point. We don't make money on that. We make money on this. So everybody needs to be together.
I'm giving a lecture on Wednesday here in Toronto at Social Media Week about measurement. And one of the big problems, and I address this, I'm not only talking social measurement in this one, but I've seen it for years, is people are still measuring, stupid things. Well, we got this many leads from our pay-per-click campaign or from our social campaign. And my question is, well, what percentage converted? How are you tracking that? Getting a lead is a wonderful, KPI. Right. We got to weight the quality, and it boggles the mind where that companies are just settled with getting leads, and you hand them to sales, and sales doesn't even follow up on the phone call because they know they're a piece of crap. And that's where we have to train people, and where you actually have to have marketing talk to sales, and sales talk to the technical development team, who talks back to the marketing team. Because we all have a stake in the success of the businesses and our employers or our clients or whatever they are. And if you only focus on one, if you think of a ship, you can build a beautiful ship, but if you put all the weight on one side of the ship, it's going to capsize.
So that brings me to a question that, around data-driven marketing. Douglas, how would you recommend your customers, and how does Sellpoints actually integrate in data-driven marketing? How do you help them make decisions based off of the data that you guys provide?
Well, there's a few ways we do that. There's looking at, in the acquisition phase, both paid and organic. You look at the keywords, the potential for keyword ranking, the traffic around that ranking, and translating that into a number or a dollar amount that a client could potentially get, or that they're just currently letting that traffic slip through their fingers, and they're potentially losing out on a lot of traffic. So that's one way in terms of the acquisition side. Mm-hmm. In the on-page kind of data analysis, we have an omni platform is what we call it, that we put together these product pages on, and we can see where the hotspots are, what people are being engaged through and attracted to on site, and the client can in real time modify their product pages to optimize that engagement and to therefore convert that traffic. And that's part of through our proprietary, and there's also a self-service platform. It's very mild. The unique thing about it is that as a retailer, or as a brand that's selling through the retail market, when you sell your product online through the online retailer and you're dealing with the retailer's buyer, that buyer will take it and basically assemble that page in-house if they're not utilizing our service. And then if you ever need to change anything on that page, it's very, very difficult to get that buyer involved, because that's not really the buyer's responsibility. So by using a platform like ours, you have much more control over configuring and changing the product descriptions and adding features, so that we really open up the environment for those brands to really gain control over that marketing space online, whereas without it, they don't have it. Great.
So that kind of comes into the next question: is what would you recommend in terms of content strategy?
There's a whole lot. I mean, right now you have enough time where you could potentially look at a couple key content strategies to drive the organic traffic if you get a jump on it currently. Mm-hmm. And then also to really try and create that enriched product page descriptions using the latest in terms of video and stickiness and attraction, to try and really deliver that unique buying experience that everyone's looking to have. I mean, because really, what's happened is the salesperson has been removed from the purchase process in the online environment, and what we're doing as a company is trying to bring back the ability for the consumer to have enough information to make that right buying decision through those unique sell points. And basically what those are is, if you ever see those little icons or buttons on a page that you push and you can see a video or a PDF or a podcast or a how-to video, those are the types of things that we're delivering. And I encourage people, whether it's through our platform or another one, you have the time now to investigate those, and the ROI is just incredible.
So you said a magic word for me, which is video. Tell me about. Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I just want to. I fear that this point might be lost, and it was an awesome point that Douglas just made. And that is, when you've been in this business for long enough, you see that one of the primary problems that companies need to address is that their content, in specifically what Douglas is talking about, their product offering, the models, the model changes, and et cetera like that, are not kept up to date. And so if somebody lands on that page and they've done a transactional query, which means that there's a high intent to purchase this item, you could lose them simply because you don't have the correct information. And though our platform doesn't do this for e-commerce, the reason I am so adamant about this is because we see the same thing in our platform for multi-location and franchise businesses that don't have an e-commerce component. So imagine that a manufacturer has changed the specifications, has beautiful new imagery with the new models on it and so forth. You want that to go out to all of the little piggies, if you would, so that you get that higher conversion. And what Douglas just said, if their system can do that on an e-commerce level, people really need to pay attention to that, because that's very important to have that latest information. Because if they go to another website and they see newer information, you're likely going to lose to that one, because they're concerned as to whether they're getting the latest model. And how many of us have all looked at it and said, well, geez, I'm not sure that this one has this feature. The description's out of date. They don't have the correct specs. The picture looks old. I just think that's a big point.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up, Kevin. I appreciate that. Yeah, people just lose trust. You lose authority, and it just, it makes the shopping experience not as good as the consumer wants. They're very fickle.
Well, and in my point of view, a lot of the e-commerce sites, the content side of this, like you said, takes the place of a salesperson. So way back when, and for me still with the car shopping experience in particular, going into a location and talking to a knowledgeable salesperson, and guess what? Best Buy still does this really well. They have well-trained salespeople that actually know the products that they're working with and can make really good, well-informed recommendations. Because we're not working face-to-face in an e-commerce situation with a salesperson, our content has to do the heavy lifting that a salesperson would do face-to-face. And I think that there are several instances where, smaller e-com brands look at eBay or Amazon and go, oh, look, it just kind of magically happens for them. Well, no, not really.
So you mentioned the whole car buying experience. We're experiencing that right now. Bobby just went to a Chevy dealer, and the Chevy guy didn't really didn't know the specs on the actual car he was trying to sell Bobby, and he pulls up the website, and Bobby's like, hold on a second, your website has more information and more knowledge than you do. So do you see a lot of people relying, the sales folks relying on the website for actual content and information about their product versus actually being experts in it?
No, I think everyone does that, even doctors today. Absolutely.
Yeah, and oddly enough, you mentioned Best Buy. Best Buy has whole, they use SCORM compliant LMS learning software to put their, at least they used to, we had worked on a couple for a group, that they have their people look at to get the information so that they can have that information to give to clients. And the other thing that Douglas just said is, keep in mind, a lot of times what is happening is the person walking through the door has the one up on the salesperson, because the salesperson has to know about every SKU that they have in there, and you've come prepared. Some of us come prepared, and we've been researching it for days online, and it's based on that information.
Right, the consumer's got power now.
So speaking of data and trying to have the information to help someone's buying experience even better, well, this will blow your mind. We're taking it to the next level. We're actively beta testing pre-marketing. And what pre-marketing is where we have access to the database of a few, multi-billion-dollar retailers that they're sharing with us, and we can see, based on past shopping experiences, what the most likely items are this person will buy next based on their purchase of item A. Then what we do is we start retargeting and display advertising within the shopping environment and outside of it the item B that statistically is proven that they purchase, and we've delivered a 1,300% ROI by doing that. So someone will go in and from work be an engineer and buy a couple printers, and we'll start serving ads for a game console, because we found that in this instance the people who bought that next, and that was the exact case study that delivered the 1,300% ROI.
So your Sellpoints provides that?
What's that?
Sellpoints provides that data? Or can provide it?
We got the data from the retailer and the retailer allowed us to run the campaigns for them to move those future products. We're the ones who are calling for this method of pre-marketing.
Yeah,
That's
that
awesome.
pre-marketing I throw into the realm of big growing field right now is predictive analytics.
Yes.
They look back on your demographic data, male, female, age bracket, what you've just bought, what your maybe past 2-3 buying experiences were. And from that, they make projections on what you're going to buy next, which may show up as retargeted ads, may show up in recommendations, may show up in emails to you.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, they might even know, based on your behavior, what your friends might like. So they might be saying, hey, would you think of buying this for your friend? And it's a really huge collection of data sets. You know, this is where, and I'm a data junkie.
Yes, you are, and you're awesome for it.
Get me as much data as you can, and I'll hire the statistical PhDs who don't know how to talk to anybody, but I'll dump it in their lap, and they will work out that algorithm for you. And that's one of the keys to doing all this is data, 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 and we have to take that into our e-commerce sites. And you may not, if you're running a small business, you say, I don't have that much data. You have data. And this is one of the things that we lost back, and I was in the early days when the first e-commerce sites were coming online. We're going to replace the salespeople. I still remember going into some shops where the salesperson remembered me because I had bought a shirt a month ago, and 2 months ago I bought a suit or whatever it was, and I'd walk in and go, oh, this would go great. They knew who you were. And that's the type of thing that was running in the human brain. Now we have e-commerce sites, and we need to put that personality into them, but do it in a subtle way that it doesn't become creepy.
Right, because retargeting can be very, very creepy.
Right. I was researching a company for a presentation I'm doing on Wednesday, just swapping out a local company for an example, and they've been following me all over the internet. Yeah. So it's really, like, okay, is it time to delete their cookie? So.
Yeah.
So my question to the crew here is, so we know that bigger e-commerce sites can access that, but how do the small guys? How does, I'm going to pick on Illumai for a second. How does Michelle take that information and use that predictive analytics and buying behavior to further increase my sales, for instance? So how do we help the small guys do that?
Well, small guys actually have an advantage, and I say this because you mentioned Illumai, the hair care brand that I work with.
Right.
So we're a startup company, and our audience base, our customer base, right now is actually kind of small, but that's actually a good place to be when you're learning all of this. So you're a brand new product, you're fresh out of the box, you're having to basically set all of those baselines, right? A small group of people is a great place to start because you can really engage and interact with them on a really intimate basis and learn and understand, okay, we know that users from this particular set, they buy this often. They buy not only for themselves but for their household. They respond really well to email and marginally well to social media. We get a really good sense from our small group what works, what doesn't. We're right now in the process of mapping out. So if customer A bought a travel set from us, we know that realistically they're going to run out of it in X number of days, and we have a chance to then follow back up with them via email and say, hey, we know that you've been enjoying your travel set. Would you consider A, recommending that travel set to somebody else, pass it along, refer a friend, share a good deal with them. B, would you also be interested now in buying a full-size set for your household, because we know and you know that your kids have been stealing your shampoo. So but it's because that small group allows us to test and really communicate well and then scale up. So I like where we are right now, and we are probably one of the few brands that actually has the marketing team fully integrated. So social, content, SEO, email, we're all operationally working together campaign by campaign right now.
That's awesome.
The other thing is, and I know I was joking about retargeting being creepy, and it can feel that way, but it's actually very, very effective for small brands who don't have a lot of brand recall, because your SEO efforts can really lag behind that. But what you can do is actually increase direct traffic through the retargeting, because what it will do is people will start seeing those ads and they'll start searching for your brand directly. You can get up to in the high 80s or more of tagged visitors to come back an additional 10 or more times. Now, when they do that, that's where the segmentation and really the appropriate ad copy are critical, because you want to target the different audiences based on their actions on the site to really take them to that next step. And that's where the increase in conversions will come.
And Douglas, I think the group would probably really benefit if you'd clarify when you talk about retargeting. Of course, there is Google retargeting, AdWords, and so forth like that. There's of course Facebook retargeting. There are other types of methods.
Twitter enables us to do it as well.
Twitter, yep. But also to talk about, do you like what percentage of time do you suggest for them to make an offer versus just do the retargeting from a brand perspective, from a, hey, we're still out here, because obviously you can hit them with different offers along the tracking path or the retargeting path.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, it's dependent on their action taken on the site. I'm talking with an insurance company right now where they have people that hit their landing page for a quote and leave and don't sign up for the quote. So they get one type of retargeting ad, and then those people who've actually applied for the quote but didn't buy it, they get a different retargeting ad. And they're getting a 15 times ROI on that ad spend.
But can you specify, like, for people that, I know it's difficult because it depends, but how often do you guys recommend, like, after the third non-action on the retargeting, or if it's the third week, depending on whether you're going by action or by time, at what point do you typically say, okay, we need to hit them with an offer of some sort?
Well, I hope I've proved to this point that, before I answer that I am diverse enough to be able to speak on things that are not particularly in my wheelhouse. And getting that granular means that I don't actually sell those things day to day, but I know enough to talk knowledgeably to get people like yourself interested. So I hope I'm showing my diversity here. Well, but unfortunately, I can't answer that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so for everybody else, really that boils down to what landing page, what part of the buying cycle that they were in, and companies like Douglas's will be able to walk you through that. But you should ask the question. You should know to ask the question: is this just straight retargeting, where you're peppering everybody with the same retargeting message, or are you being intentional about it? And then is there like a known drop-off point which would be tested? And at that point, it's kind of like, well, we might as well throw a 20% off coupon at them, or a $10 off first order at them, because statistically speaking, we've seen that we've just lost them if it's past the 3-week retargeting phase, so that you're not wasting dollars on continuing the retargeting process.
Yeah, so Sellpoints purchased Retargeter, one of the early pioneers in the industry, a few years back, and they've come into our wheelhouse here just in the past the past 13 months. And they have account managers that work hand in hand with the clients on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, whichever they prefer, to manage those types of issues.
So,
yeah, it's very interesting.
I want to move back to content. And Doug, you and I talked about rich content before. So how would you tell your customers to really optimize that rich content, even in the terms of remarketing? Like, what works?
Video and mobile. First, you want to optimize anything you have for mobile. Right. Secondly, you want to start exploring video, yes, and in that order. And if you're not, you're going to be hurt here in the next 24 months, because things are moving rather quickly. So we have those broad-based discussions with people, and not everyone's going to be adopting video right away. We know that. But we can help them, at least take a strong mobile position.
Okay, Michelle, do you want to take over for a second again?
Sure. I love it that you want to talk about video because it's definitely something that I have been championing with the e-commerce brand that I work with. It's especially for any type of product that requires some explanation in order to get somebody through the buying cycle and go, oh, okay, this actually matters to me because there's something a bit different about this product versus another product. And in order to get that type of messaging across, it really is much more effective and easier to consume if you can come up with a way to explain things via video. And let's just face it, in this mobile world, video is a lot stickier, wouldn't you say, Doug?
Oh, absolutely. The magic number that we've tested with IBM, they're one of our investor partners, is 11 seconds. At 11 seconds and more, the shopper becomes the buyer in our case studies. And video is one of the strongest ways to keep that person sucked onto the site.
Wow, isn't that huge? You know, that is a big stat. And I'll tell you just real quick for people that are on the fence about this, if you're an industrial type company, I want you to go to Will It Blend and see what those folks are doing. Okay?
Oh, that's a true classic. Yeah. Thanks for reminding everybody about that one.
You have to, if you think you can't sell something industrial or whatever, you go watch Will It Blend. And if you're in the more B2C range and the product focus and so forth, go watch the stuff from Duluth Trading Company.
Yes.
Because they're working with an agency clearly because it's very well done stuff, but it also humanizes their brand. They have fun with it, but they also explain the features of the product while they're goofing around. Very good. Those two I would tell you to go see.
And I'm glad you were speaking of both B2C and B2B in the industrial capacity, because I speak to B2B marketers every day. We're very strong in the B2C space, and I need to overcome their initial objection to even having a discussion with me, because they say, well, we're not anything in the B2C space. We're B2B marketers, and I discuss with them that it's the same basic processes modified slightly to your audience's perception to get things rolling. Because really all B2B is just a consumer using someone else's money to buy something.
When it comes to the B2B world, I like to point out to them, and this goes with all forms of marketing, the person who's doing the buying in B2B and the person who's selling in the B2B world, they're still individuals.
Right.
And you have to appeal. Many years ago, one of my earlier hats, I managed a graphic services group for a financial company, and I spent a couple $1 million a year on buying printed material. And it was a B2B play. But who got the business was the one that I could develop that relationship, who could show me the product that appealed to me, that I knew would be a need I had. So nothing has changed. I just now represent a hungry corporation who is looking for something that's going to have meaning and value to me. Now you have to sell it, and that doesn't matter. It's still marketing. It's still sales.
So, you guys are sick to death of me saying this, but I say it every week. But doesn't matter. I'll add this piece to this: is whether you're B2C or B2B, that individual still wants you to solve their problems, answer their questions. They want you to evoke some kind of emotion, a buying emotion, and they want you to entertain them if possible. Mm-hmm. That's true no matter what you're doing.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. It's very interesting. And,
we're actually ready for the next question if you are, Andrea.
Okay, so what can e-commerce sites actually do now to learn and grow in time for Cyber Monday?
Oh, well, that's a great question. As I said earlier, they have time to start a content marketing campaign if they get fairly aggressive and have a plan in place that might be on the shelf that they haven't taken down yet. They should start firing those bullets. And then also, looking at getting mobile online for the holiday season, making sure your site is robust enough to handle the traffic, and then trying to adopt and enrich the product page content as much as possible. whether it's, there's a few platforms out there, shop them around, shop against us, whatever it may, it's going to help you out in the long run.
So
Well,
let's say that, go ahead.
Take it one step further and say that this is a good period of time to test your reporting systems, your analytics systems, so that when Cyber Monday rolls around, you're actually capturing the data that's most meaningful to you. I know a lot of brands, they're kind of hit and miss. They're like, well, I don't know, does this metric over here matter? Does this? And they'll test things, they'll change things, but now's the time to really, yes, test it, but let's go ahead and lock it down. Make sure that we absolutely know that we're going to be reporting on A, B, C, and D as we move from now into the holiday season.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, we just had an experience with a pharmacy, a laboratory, and this isn't really a shopping holiday thing, but perhaps it is. But it just goes to the point of testing, where it was a hair tonic shampoo. Unfortunately, I heard about it too late, and they were selling it, and the manufacturer was selling it to Costco. He was doing ads, Google product listing ads, and the traffic was there, but the sales just were terrible. He just couldn't understand what was wrong. They were targeting men between 18 and 50. This is the ideal market that people buy it. And so we looked at it, and our director of paid media said, why don't we switch this up and just test it and target women between 18 and 50 and switch up the ad to say you can help your men's hair stay long and lovely so you can rub your finger through their lovely locks. And it went up 300%. Sales just went through the roof. So testing is what you got to do. If something's not working out, figure out why. You don't want to do this in November.
and I think it's important for everybody to understand what Douglas just said and then what he said previously, which is, to start a content marketing play, which, by the way, content marketing is not just blogging. We already have a term for that. It's called blogging. Okay. So, but to start that right now, to plan for that, because when things happen for targeting for Cyber Monday, that doesn't just happen the day before. So you need to be planning out for that now so that you can get all of the creative and all of the stuff ready for that. And also so that you can be measuring, you can be doing micro measurements along the way so that you can make sure that before you pull the trigger that you're doing the right thing, that you're pitching the right product at the right price at the right time.
And that's
to the right audience.
Right. I mean, that's kind of like why we're even having this topic for social chat tonight, is because, I mean, let's say most people are so engrossed in the now, and I know marketing departments are smart enough to figure out, we got to plan for the Cyber Monday thing, but I think it just helps to hear from experts like Douglas from Sellpoints on how to actually do that. So, yeah.
Well, thank you.
Now I'm going to let you kind of go into a little bit more detail about some of the success stories that actually you've seen with Sellpoints and what the benefits are for maybe the small guys or the medium-sized guys, for anyone. What are the benefits of Sellpoints, and what are the good stories?
Yeah, so there was a boutique denim manufacturer out of San Francisco who set up his website, had great on and offline marketing, was doing all the right moves, but his traffic was flat through the entire year during his marketing campaign, and he really couldn't understand what he needed to do. He was handling all of this in-house, and perhaps it wasn't because he was handling it in-house, he just wasn't using the right strategy. So we consulted with him and developed a social content marketing strategy where we found communities online, on Reddit, on Google+, and these people call themselves denim heads. And they buy a pair of jeans, and many of them are of the mind that they wear one pair of jeans, they never wash them. So we started serving up content to consult this community and developed some campaigns and some contests about how to cuff your jean, and send us your pictures on your best jean cuff, and gave away some jeans. And we actually increased his organic traffic by 140% year over year, and his sales doubled. So
wow.
he was pleased.
Very cool. Very cool.
And that just speaks to the idea of just tapping into the right crowd with the right message at the right time.
What about maybe like a small guy just now starting his website, Ecomm website, who hopes to capture that Cyber Monday action? So what would you tell them?
Definitely start your SEO right now. That's going to give you your biggest bang for the buck in the long run. And for immediate purposes, you can actually, do some paid campaigns, depending on how much your budget is. But you really want to make sure that you've got the basics down, that you're doing best Google practices to get served up online, and you become the authority in your microspace, and not try and appeal to the unwashed masses, so to speak, but really pick that niche right, especially if you're a smaller e-commerce site, because then you can become the king of your castle, so to speak.
Right.
The ones that fail try to please everyone.
And let's take that a step further. Is when Douglas is talking about the SEO, you have to remember that if all you have is thin product pages or thin description pages of the product itself, then basically you're acting like a vending machine. What you want to be is you want to be more like an informational, like a store that solves your problems and answers your questions. The vending machine will work for a percentage of people, but then you're basically competing on price and shipping speed and so forth like that. If you become the informational source, you feed them through the entire funnel, and then you can get back to that retargeting that Douglas was talking about earlier. So you can pick up more for informational queries because Google will think you're more relevant than just somebody that has a one paragraph description on that product on your site. So think about whether or not you're acting like a vending machine or whether you're acting like an informational store, a boutique store that can answer your questions.
And this goes hand in hand with SEO, but you talk about product descriptions. Be prepared to either do it yourself or to pay someone who takes all those default descriptions, and I don't care how many SKUs you have. I've heard the complaint, we have 10,000 SKUs. Well, then you hire a bunch of people who rewrite them just enough that it's not duplicate content, because if you're entering a marketplace and you have the exact copy that your major competitor has, what's your advantage? None. You're new. Google's going to treat the company that's been there a while better than they're going to treat you because you're the new kid on the block. So be prepared to invest in good descriptions that answer a common need of someone who's looking for that product. It's the best advice and best place to spend your money right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the previous company that I worked with, we were a crowdsourcing e-commerce SEO company, and that's what we did. We crowdsourced product descriptions and for many of the retailers prior to Cyber Monday, and it really gave them a big lift. Yeah, it worked very, very well.
Awesome.
The other thing is the small e-commerce company, make sure you have your CRM, your Pardo, or whatever you're using for email marketing working meticulously, so you can capture as many emails and really utilize that free channel as much as possible.
And actually, I just thought of another thing too. Is if you're, we're assuming that your CMS and your Ecomm solution is up to snuff, and we really shouldn't. So if your Ecomm solution is not up to snuff, you need to get an audit done. You need to have that done right now so that you can take corrective actions if you have any chance to correct that for the big buying season of Cyber Monday. So don't assume that your e-commerce solution is all good to go. Make sure that you have a professional who understands e-commerce and the nuances of that, and make sure that you have schema on the site. Make sure you have schema on the site.
Everybody repeat after Kevin. Make sure you have schema on the site. And the appropriate schema. Research it.
Just do it!
Fantastic.
All too
we have
often.
got 10 minutes until the top of the hour. Doug, do you have any parting thoughts, any words of wisdom, any common things that you find brands continually kind of getting hung up on in this planning phase of holiday shopping?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things. The first is not getting the product descriptions right. If they're on the site and not behind some JavaScript, that's the key. And then trying to optimize not just the product page, but the category pages as well. Those can play a very large part. A lot of people spend a lot of time shopping along the category line just to see, which angle they're going to go down for that ultimate product. And trusting, that getting the help when you need it before it becomes an emergency. What I'm finding is more and more often these in-house marketing folks are just almost overwhelmed with all of the changes in technology that are coming. Their kind of vision and focus is bifurcated or splintered, and they're pulled in all these different directions as the new and best platform comes along, and it can really befuddle them, and they can end up losing control of some of their legacy traffic acquisition and conversion efforts. So before that comes to a head, try and rectify that now, either by harnessing and hiring new resources internally or looking for an external agency partner that can take that load off your shoulders before it becomes acute in the holiday season, so that you can focus on whatever fires occur at that time, rather than dealing with an avalanche of misplaced actions. I hope that I wasn't too verbose on that.
Oh, that was perfect.
That was great. The tip about the behind JavaScript, many people do not understand it. If your stuff is hidden behind an action, so in tabs, Google has said that they discount the content behind, they may discount, most likely will discount the content behind tabs. So you need to make sure, as Douglas just said, is you need to make sure that e-commerce solution is up to snuff.
And just because it was a great solution 2-3 years ago doesn't mean it is one anymore.
All right, I'm going to be devil's advocate for just a moment and ask you all, this is for everybody in the room still, aside from Sellpoint, some of your favorite e-commerce tools, and this could be actual functional e-commerce site tools like Shopify, it could be customer management systems, it could be, come on guys, cough it up, we know you've got your favorite tools.
I'm sorry, I'm going to defer to Kevin.
Share.
He's Mr. Tools.
Go for it, Alan.
No, I'm deferring to Kevin.
Well, I mean, we could go off into a long tangent of tools, and I don't want to deny that. At the same time, I think the big thing that we talked about today, the baseline ones that everybody should really be thinking about is your shopping cart up to snuff? Does it have the right trappings that are causing no encumbrances to get in? The rest of that stuff, I mean, I would say look at some review. There's several review tools that are out there that help you get reviews, that make sure that the reviews are shown instead of being hidden behind a user action. So I would look at those kind of things. But in terms of, I mean, I've used a lot of different ones, so I don't want to really pick out a specific tool. I'm kind of partial to Magento for a lot of things, but I like Shopify too. So it just depends on what your budget is too, because there's two different levels of Magento now as well. NopCommerce is another, if you're just starting. NopCommerce is a free solution. It's not super duper awesome, but it does get the job done. I've worked with the ASP.NET shopping cart solution people before, but of course then there's subsets of tools inside of each of those and plugins with that. landing page managers, if your shopping cart is not really good at landing pages, then maybe you want to look at 22 Social, or you want to look at Opt-in Monster or something, some way to get some additional content. Because if everything is related to just the shopping cart by itself, if you have no tool to do some separate pages for quality landing pages purposes for PPC or something, maybe you need to do that, or for email segmentation. So there's a few tools, but
I'm going to pop in Volusion, and Network Solutions has an e-commerce. They do a really good job of helping e-commerce get started, right? So small mom pops go to Network Solutions. I used to work with both Volusion and with Network Solutions. Network Solutions originally started off as Monster Commerce, which kind of helped start off this whole e-commerce thing. So if anyone is even thinking about starting off with e-commerce, I would recommend going to either of those.
Great.
Cool. I can throw in a few things that I like to use. So I work with e-commerce brands, but I am part of the bigger marketing picture. So along with Shopify, which Illumai uses, several of my other clients have used in the past. We really like Infusionsoft for customer management, email management, that kind of stuff. I actually use a tool called Nuvi for content and influencer outreach, as well as just industry topic monitoring. There's lots of stuff that you can do with a social media monitor like Nuvi. Highly recommend that. Believe it or not, I'm going to go really, really granular and tell you that if you guys can get your hands on some kind of tool that helps you manage your UTM tags as you're sharing product pages, blog posts, that will help you so much in tracking what's going on, what channel is actually referring legitimate, qualified business to your pages, that kind of stuff. I'm telling you guys, the UTM tags on your URLs when you share them is gold.
So along those lines, I'm going to say Kissmetrics, because Kissmetrics does that, and they provide the whole end-to-end buying process, like how fast they convert, what they do, all that stuff.
if you want to get started with just a simple version of that to understand what Michelle and Andrea are talking about, there's an easy Chrome plugin that is called Google URL Builder. And it is a wonderful tool. So let's say that you're dropping a link into like a Twitter chat or something, and you want to append or add a UTM to it so that you can track it. Now, I will tell you this: you need to go to Annie SEO's Ann Hadley's page.
Analytics?
Yeah, Analytics. You need to go check out her site to explain how to do that properly, because you can really screw up your analytics if you're using UTMs wrong. But if you want to get started, that's an easy way to create some UTMs to test, track things. And since Michelle mentioned influencers and so forth, I would really suggest looking at BuzzSumo as a way of looking for influential people that you can maybe get to do a guest post on your site, or that you might want to be able to do some guest photography on your site related to the product that they're doing, do a piece around that, or that maybe you want to send them some review copies and so forth. Just remember to make sure that you're doing the proper FTC notation of that type of behavior.
Okay, so we are at the top of the hour, just a minute left. Wow. I have to run. If you guys haven't noticed, I've been like eyeing my kid and giving him the evil eye because he's been playing for like the past 15 minutes, so I apologize for that. But I gotta run, so I'm gonna go ahead and say bye.
Okay. Go deal with the little guy.
But Douglas, really, I just want to thank you for coming on tonight.
Absolutely.
And being our guest. I know I learned a lot, so thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
okay.
I want to thank Douglas for joining us tonight.
Absolutely,
to anybody who's watching, please, find us on Twitter. Use the hashtag #SocialChat. We do monitor it 7 days a week. I'm not going to say we monitor it 24 hours a day,
No.
but you'd be surprised. But it is monitored. If you have suggestions for topics you'd like us to address, if you have a guest you'd like to recommend, please contact us through there. You can also visit our website, socialchatnetwork.com.
And if I could put in a quick plug, if anyone wants to learn more about me or my company, just go to sellpoints.com. They'll find me and my address and can get a hold of me right away, and there's lots of information for you. That's sellpoints with an S.com.
All right, Sellpoints with an S.com. We do, we appreciate Douglas, and yes, feel free to. I'm glad you shared your URL. Anybody who's watching this in Toronto, I'm going to be speaking on Wednesday at Social Media Week here in Toronto. It's got a great lineup, some great friends. Sam Filarillo is giving the keynote tomorrow morning at 8:30 down at the TIFF Lightbox. So if you're listening from Toronto and you haven't bought a ticket, go buy one, because just to hear Sam is going to be worthwhile. And I'm going to be trying my best to get Sam to come on the Social Chat in the forthcoming weeks. I haven't seen him in person in probably about 2.5 years, maybe a bit longer. So it's going to be fun. And I don't know if anybody else has any other events coming up, but look for us. Go for it, Kevin.
Yeah, I'll be in Seattle for Social Pro on the 20th and 21st, I believe.
Excellent. So if you're attending any of those, make sure to stop by. Give Kevin say hi to Kevin. We appreciate feedback in person, however you feel comfortable. It's all appreciated, and I'm still trying to find out if I'm going to be speaking at SMX East, but that's coming up. Would be up late October, I believe. So that's it for now. Appreciate it. We'll be here next week. Michelle, do you remember who's on our agenda next week?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I just looked that up for you. So next week, Social Chat is back on Twitter. So we are back to our live 1-hour Twitter chat hosted on our hashtag #SocialChat. And we are going to be talking about the changes in marketing analytics that are coming to Instagram. So a lot of brands have been making great use of Instagram, and Instagram has told us we're going to roll out some analytics for all of you. So we're going to be discussing what those are, what the impact is going to be for marketers, and how much hopefully easier it is to monitor and manage our effectiveness in that particular channel. So be sure and join us on Twitter next week, 9 p.m. Central, Monday night.
Quick question for Michelle, because I know Instagram announced this morning that they're going to start over the next few weeks doing their full rollout of their algorithmic feed, which some people have been getting, some people haven't been getting. So I don't know if that's going to be part of our conversation or not, but we may want to think about that as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all things Instagram. And yes, the algorithmic aspect of that is also going to be important, because that's going to depend on when you post, what you post, how you wrap that content and make it interesting and palatable for the audience that follows you on Instagram. So yeah, 9 p.m. Eastern. I misspoke a while ago. I'm kind of getting over a flu-like thing, so pardon me, guys. 9 p.m. Eastern next Monday night on Twitter via #SocialChat.
Great. Have a great night, everybody, and use the hashtag.
See ya.